It was one of the world's strongest ever storms that has brought parts of southern Africa to its knees. More than 400 people are known to have died after Cyclone Freddy tore across the region, bringing with it heavy rains that triggered floods and landslides. Most of those killed were in Malawi, where authorities now face a desperate battle to get aid and supplies to the thousands displaced. Malawi's President, Lazarus Chakwera, has called on the international community to help stave off an impending humanitarian crisis in a country now united in grief.
Bucket by bucket, they bury the dead. Funerals for the victims of landslides, triggered by days of heavy rain. It's an emotionally charged and a painstaking battle against the elements. But they keep going. This is a country in mass mourning. Hundreds have lost their lives here in the wake of Cyclone Freddy. And in Blantyre, one of the worst affected areas, more coffins are lined up under a rain-soaked tent. Malawi's president joining the queue of people, paying their respects.
You cannot help but shed tears because loved ones, one whole family, completely wiped out, and so many others that have been touched. You feel sad that we are at the receiving end of climatic changes that, you feel helpless.
And that sense of helplessness is easy to understand when you see the lives shattered by this giant storm. Like so many now, this family are trying to recover what they can from the wreckage of their home. But say they had little time to save their possessions.
I
had no idea as to what impact the storm would have. I just realized that there was a heavy downpour when the house here and on the other side collapsed. So I was shocked, but really I was confused and didn't know what was happening.
Of the tens of thousands now displaced, some have ended up in crisis centres, like this one set up in a school. Many of those here are women and children in desperate need of food and water. But supplies are running short, and getting more aid through is proving difficult, with many roads and bridges now destroyed. Adding to a growing humanitarian crisis in a country already struggling with a cholera outbreak. And as the emergency response now turns into a recovery mission, with more bodies than survivors being pulled from the mud and debris. The death toll and lasting impact of this national tragedy is only expected to become even greater.
Let's get more on this from Pu Selecho Mofoking. He's senior forecaster in disaster risk reduction from the South African Weather Service. Hello, sir. Cyclone Freddy made landfall twice or three times and lingered on for so long. What makes it unique from previous other storms?
Yes, it made three landfalls over Madagascar, in Mozambique, back to Mozambique Channel, which is the ocean between Madagascar and Mozambique. And after that, it moved finally to Mozambique again. So that's where it died down, just south of Malawi. So that was the first record. It had to do with the length of it, but also the zigzagging of it. I think it turned around a lot. So other cyclones had one track, just maybe 110, but this one had so many tens. So that's another important record that might have been broken.
Okay, I mean, if I got you correctly, you're saying Cyclone Freddy is the longest ever cyclone in recorded history. Is that right?
Most certainly, that is correct.
Okay. Now, extreme weather events are quite common in Malawi and neighboring countries. Why do they keep happening?
Well, the extreme weather conditions happen everywhere. The whole difference is how prepared people are. I did hear one of the officials in Malawi indicating that it's because of the fact that they are having difficulty to speak with the people on time. But as of the forecast, we had issued the forecast on time.
Is there anything unique about the region that makes extreme weather events quite common there?
Number one, it would be that Mozambique is actually a flat country. So these storms are actually moving with relative ease over Mozambique. That is perhaps one reason. As you move, for example, to Zimbabwe, most of the storms would actually die down because then you have a lot of friction with high mountains and all that. You don't have that in Mozambique. So besides the fact that the ocean is warm, or sometimes it's abnormally warm, so we also have the issue of the flat surface around Mozambique, which make these systems to actually have relatively free movements, therefore causing a lot of hail. But at the same time, even the governments themselves, if you compare Mozambique and Malawi, I think Mozambique had a better plan to respond to this storm this time around.
That sounds about right. Now, scientists say human-caused climate change has worsened cyclone activity, making them more intense and more frequent. So should we expect more storms like Freddy?
The simple answer, or should I say the relatively simple answer, is to say yes, we can expect storms to be more and more extreme in terms of frequency, also in terms of the intensity. So that's what we can expect. You would remember, even in South Africa, we had heavy rain that actually had international headlines. So indeed, it's not only South Africa, but many other countries are having these extreme conditions. So we can expect more of such, even beyond the tropical cyclones.
Ooh, that sounds, yeah, I don't think anyone is looking forward to it, knowing exactly what can come out of such extreme weather events. But that's where people like you come in. How can weather forecasters like you help countries better prepare for such extreme weather events?
We as weather forecast work together. For example, South African Weather Service issue 5-day forecast to all countries in the Southern Africa, that is Southern African Development Community. So SADC, we actually issue the forecast for all those countries, and we collaborate with forecasters together, and their responsibility is to take those messages forward, but also they have to make their own intense localized analysis and communicate to the public. Unfortunately, from time to time, we have the incidents where it's difficult to pass or disseminate the message to the people on time. Those areas where connectivity is poor, governments have to work very hard to necessarily make it possible that all messages that are coming from the weather and many other events are actually reaching the people on time.
Okay. Pusalet Somofoking with the South African Weather Service. Thank you. Now, as you already heard, neighboring Mozambique is also among the countries impacted by Cyclone Freddy, with more than 50 deaths reported so far. While any loss of life is a tragedy, the death toll is much lower than in 2019, when Cyclone Idai claimed hundreds of lives in the country and left millions in need of humanitarian assistance. In the 4 years since then, Mozambique has put in place measures to help it be better prepared for extreme weather events. So, have they paid off? Milta Kaulad is the United Nations Resident Coordinator in Mozambique.
Mozambique has taken the decision that it absolutely needs to be resilient. Mozambique is the third most exposed country in Africa to climatic disasters and to climate change. And so, starting from the head of state is the Africa Union champion for disaster risk reduction. And the country has invested a lot in technology, in knowledge, and has actually by now, this time before Cyclone Freddy, very sophisticated satellite imagery, extremely accurate, and a very close collaboration between the Meteorological Center and the civil protection. So they could, with extreme accuracy, go to the communities that were about to be hit and have a lot of extensive information to them, so that they had to evacuate and accommodation centers were created. And authorities deployed themselves at minister level. Ministers went and underwent the cyclone in the same way as the population, but that caused also a very big commitment and a very big mobilization. This all has happened and is happening with a lot of collaboration also with the international community, the United Nations and others.
What more can other countries learn from Mozambique, and what more can they do even beyond what Mozambique has done to limit the damage caused by such natural disasters?
So certainly investing in preparedness, forecasting, and in alerting the populations, certainly training the populations. Mozambique is also investing in resilient infrastructure, but this is something that demands a lot of time and a lot of investments. So this is a must do for every country. This is what us European countries are also doing. And this is what requires a global solidarity to support countries like Mozambique and many other countries that are exposed to natural disasters in this way.
Is there enough money in store in the UN to support such countries in dealing with such disasters? Or is it a case of there's just so much happening in the world, there's not enough money available?
We have used all the stocks that we have here to provide an immediate response. The United Nations, as well as the whole humanitarian community, but also civil society, the institutions here, we have provided a lot of supplies, be it soap, be it water purification tablets, food, plastic sheeting to the population, but it is not enough. There is a huge need for support. And there is a huge need for resources also because at the same time, Mozambique is experiencing a cholera outbreak. And when you have floods, the cholera outbreaks can only amplify. So we need a lot of solidarity to help the country that is already doing its best through the vaccination campaign.
Yeah.
And then
so here's the thing, if the UN, sorry to cut you there, if the UN is doing enough and is even running out, where else could the help come from?
Mozambique has a huge agricultural potential. Mozambique can become the bread basket for a large part of, for many, many countries in the world, many, many countries in Africa. I think there is a common interest in supporting Mozambique in having a resilient agriculture. It is in the interest of the whole world to support the Mozambican farmers who lost all their harvest now with this cyclone. And they will not have a crop until next year this time.
Okay.
So it is a common and joint interest and benefit.
Okay. Meteorological Kaulad, United Nations Resident Coordinator in Mozambique. Thank you very much for your insights.